Thank you. This is my first time to be involved in the budgetary process at national level, and I will suggest that the Government has a lot more work to do to ensure that the budget formulation is an open and inclusive process for all deputies. This is essential for a Parliament that wants to work professionally on behalf of the people. Last-minute changes to spending thresholds and budgetary measures only tend to reinforce the view of parish pump deals and cynical gestures. Coming from a business perspective, I find the budget process far too secretive, far too piecemeal and lacking the unity of purpose that this Dáil needs to have as we try to steer this nation through the turbulent waters following Brexit. There are some positives, however. Fianna Fáil have contributed to the changing of the direction of the budgetary policy. Taxpayers in Ireland wanted a fairer Ireland. They did not demand self-interested tax cuts, they wanted better public services, and they demanded investment in all our futures. In this regard, the commitment to increase public spending on childcare and those on social welfare payments is to be commended, but the delay in the payments serves to take some of the good out of the welfare restoration. One of the measures that I am particularly pleased about is the restoration of 400 guidance counsellors in the education sector. This was a particularly counterproductive cut by the previous government. I commend this decision and hope mistakes like this will never be made again. My national focus is on the housing crisis, and on the packages and measures that were announced in the budget, I have serious concerns. The solution is frustrating simple: supply. But the range of measures announced and in some cases re-announced yesterday lack the national urgency that this crisis demands. I understand that the first-time buyers grant is being introduced by Minister Coveney to entice the construction sector to build, but is extremely high risk. Where are the measures to ensure that house prices will not become further out of reach for the buyers? For example, in my own constituency of Wicklow has the highest house prices and the highest rents outside Dublin. The state should not rely on the private sector profit market to increase house supply. As I stated before, and I stress this now, if this measure simply increases prices without supply not being increased in a measurable way, then it needs to be reversed, and reversed quickly. Encouraging people to commit themselves to overpriced mortgages is a lesson that I thought we all have learned. In the hospitality sector, the 9% VAT rate was a targeted measure to defend a vital industry that was in troubled times. In my view, it is worth serious analysis as to the value of a similar VAT reduction with regard to the construction industry as it pertains to housing only. Again, in my view, a VAT change could be targeted, measured and easily adaptable. The Renew and Lease scheme, as announced, is in the right direction but too small a scale to make a meaningful impact. 6 million in 2017 will only deliver 150 units, while the national funding scheme used off balance sheet could potentially deliver 1,000 units. That's the ambition and radical approach that I and my colleagues in Fianna Fáil will be bringing forward. I will continue to work constructively with colleagues in this House to get on top of the crisis, but this budget leaves a lot to be desired at a time when people are looking for leadership and direction. With regard to the film industry, I welcome the increase to the Irish Film Board. Not nearly enough is being envisaged to ensure that Ireland can become a global location for quality film and television production. This can happen with changes to the Section 481 cap and the extending of the Horizons clause until 2030. Wicklow is a centre of the Irish film production, and the employment and knock-on effect of this industry is county-wide and convinces me of the potential of this industry to make a national impact in our recovery. This brings me to the rural development, which is once again the poor relation in this budget. We have a complete lack of ambition and joined-up thinking in relation to the potential of rural Ireland to contribute to the island's economy and relieve the pressures on urban areas. As previous Fianna Fáil-led government promised us that we would have rural proofing of budgets. Well, this hasn't happened. Piecemeal and timid measures serve only to highlight the gap that exists between official Ireland and the reality in rural Ireland. Just today I received more disgraceful news in relation to the fibre broadband rollout in Wicklow and East Carlow. A town like Hackettstown and Carlow needing a lift to encourage business development and will not be fit for fibre broadband until 2018 at the earliest. Not acceptable. Fibre broadband is the key to opening the potential of rural Ireland. Even in areas that are supposedly connected and live, such as Lara, are in fact only partially connected and full coverage cannot be guaranteed until 2018. The sheep scheme and the increase in the farm assistance scheme is to be welcomed in our farming sector. The restoration of the ANC payments have not yet been achieved, with thousands of farmers being left behind. And the agri-food sector is still very anxious about the lack of Brexit proofing. Just finally, this is the first budget of this Dáil. There are too many in this chamber who, even after 8 months and following Brexit, refuse to take responsibility seriously. There are flaws in this budget which I am obliged to point out, but believe that at this time we have a duty to provide stability in turbulent times. This is simply the right thing to do, and I am happy that Fianna Fáil is honouring their commitment.